It's time to look over that PGR in more detail and talk about it. Let's go over this PGR, shall we? But first off, we have Anathema at 50 for North America. He's a relatively newer top player, like he wasn't really doing anything before quarantine, if I remember correctly. He's definitely one of the newer players that's really starting to make a name for himself recently. Unfortunately for him, he probably would have been ranked higher too if it weren't for the fact that, you know, the season was such an odd period of time. It was only like 2.5 months instead of the normal 6-month PGR seasons we have. Next up, you've got Big D, probably the best ice climber player in the world. He probably really didn't do anything except for the Gommel placing, but the Gommel placing was enough to get him here. It makes you wonder if he could have been a lot higher if he went to more stuff, right? Either way, seeing him at 49 with solo ice, well, is it solo ice climbers or does he still play D2D? Yeah. After that, you've got Leon, who's... I don't know if he's still the solo best Bowser. It might be Hero, the Japanese Bowser now, but I feel like there's definitely a bit of a fight between them as far as that goes. I haven't really seen him go to too much. I feel like he's kind of a player who's had like really high highs, but also some kind of low lows, which I think a lot of that has to do with just Bowser being Bowser. But it is what it is. After that, you've got Dark Wizzy, which I think his skill level is a lot higher than this, but he's someone that, for the most part, he basically took like 2 years off from competing, so he's still pretty rusty, all things considered. I wouldn't be surprised if he's active and stays active and then is way higher in the next season. We'll see, though. I also can't help but think that Mario as a character has gotten worse overall because of his position in the metagame. This is something that's happened to a lot of characters, but they kind of just kept making new characters in Fighter Pass 2 that just beat a lot of other characters. So a ton of characters just got worse by virtue of Fighter Pass 2 just kind of becoming very prevalent very fast. After that, you've got SkyJ. At 46, that's, I think, the highest he's been. With solo Incineroar, too. That's so impressive. Because I still don't think Incineroar is that good, honestly. I think SkyJ carries him about as... I think SkyJ carries this character extremely hard, but I can't help but think that if he played a better character, that SkyJ could be a top 10 player in the world, but I just don't think Incineroar is capable of getting anywhere close to that. After that, you've got Peepnut. I think he's ranked #1 in South Carolina. Mega Man. He might be the highest ranked Mega Man at this point, honestly. Because I think Kameme basically dropped him, and then some of the other Mega Man players aren't really active anymore. Like, I don't know what happened to Yeti, but I don't see him anymore. After that, you've got Jake. One of the top solo Steves that's been running around a lot, especially post-quarantine. I can't help but think his results could have been higher, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of people's results on this ranking are going to be a little bit wonky just because this time period was so short. I'm not really sure why this PGR season is only like 2.5 months, but a lot of people's results are kind of weird looking because of that. I consider myself to be one of those people whose results look a bit weird because of this. It is what it is. After that, you've got Sean, who I think is... I would consider him the #2 Falcon at this point. There used to be a bit... I felt like for a while there was a bit of a gap between me and whoever would be second, but Sean has closed it fast. Very fast. I'm having a hard time fending him off at this point, but I'm going to do my best to keep doing that. After that, we've got Skittles, who I haven't really seen too much, but he's kind of one of those players who's just quietly solid. Like, he hasn't really done too much that's too crazy recently, but he doesn't really have bad results either that I know of. He's just making it solidly far in bracket consistently. Just a solid, if not necessarily spectacular performance. I could definitely see him doing way better, though, going forward. Speaking of someone I could see doing way better going forward, we've got Elegant at 41. The best Luigi player in the world. I have to feel that his results getting worse are just another symptom of a lot of Fighter Pass 2 characters being really strong and also really prevalent in the meta. It's like a lot of characters and a lot of players' results have just dropped off because a lot more losing matchups spawned for them. Like, I know ZSS with Mars is another good example of that, where the character just got worse because suddenly they have way more losing matchups now. And I feel like that's something that definitely happened with Elegant too. Either way, that's a 50 through 41. Alright, at 40, we've got Larry Lurt. Do you know how happy it makes me to see Larry all these years later still putting in work? Makes me happy. He's been around for so long, and he's like the epitome of the old guard in Smash. I hope he does like way better going forward too, because he really does put in a lot of work, and it's kind of cool to just see him still competing all these years later. Either way, after that, you've got Aaron, who I feel like is a bit low, but remember how we've talked about how a lot of placings look a bit odd because of how short the time period was for the rankings? I think Aaron is one of those people where some of his best results just weren't even a factor in this at all, like his Genesis run. So he's a lot lower. Speaking of people who would be higher, we've got Icon, someone who also had a really good run that would have normally been in a PGR season, but for whatever reason, this 2.5 month period just didn't include that. So we've got Icon at 38 instead of probably somewhere higher. Still though, it's cool that this is, I think, his first PGR, so it's definitely an accomplishment for him, but I can't help but think that he could have been higher. After that, we've got me. Another person who I think could be a lot higher if it was a regular 6-month period, because then it would include my my 4th place finish at CEO and my 7th place finish at Let's Make Big Moves 2. Unfortunately for me though, because of the short time period, those were not included. So I'm way lower. I'd probably be like top 25 or maybe even top 20. I'd probably be like somewhere in top 20 if those were included, but eh. Oh well. I'll just have to do it next time, I guess. It'd be that way sometimes. Like, that's on me for having my weakest results during that time period. I could have just done better, and then obviously I'd be up there, but oh well. I've gotten to a point where I don't really care about my results anymore. Or my rankings or anything, because I know at this point that I know what I'm capable of on a good day, and I know what I can do. So I don't necessarily need a number to tell me what I am or am not worth, because I already, you know, have a good sense of self-worth and all that. My results and rankings don't faze me anymore. I know what I can do on a good day, and that's enough for me. Still though, I do know that it would be a lot higher if, you know, it was a more traditional season. After that, you've got Big Boss, the best Rob in Mexico, and someone that I personally expect to be a good bit higher in the next one, whenever that ends up being, but it is what it is. Then we've got Esam, someone who hasn't really gone to much, but actually what has he gone to in this time period? I'm not really sure. I can't even remember, but clearly he went to some stuff or he wouldn't be on here. After that, you've got Apollo Kage, my personal favorite snake in the world. This man is saucy. Press 1 if you love watching Apollo Kage, just at any tournament he goes to. Either way, after that, you've got Tilde, the best solo Falco in the world. Also a pretty fun player to watch. I haven't really seen him too much recently. I think he's mostly gone to a lot of regionals in the last few months, but he has really strong results, so there he is. After that, you've got Atelier, which it's kind of funny to see see a Japanese player on the North American rankings, but I guess he went to enough North American events to where he could be counted on it, which to me that's really funny, even if he's clearly done the work to deserve being up there in the first place. Also got a very nice score over there. Then for 31, you've got Sind, who's, I would say, the second best Ness main behind Gact, and definitely the best Ness in doubles, and I don't think it's even close. He and Louis Money are probably the best team in the world at this point. They kind of win everything. Sind is sick. He's even more sick in doubles. Happy for him to have this spot, because it's definitely higher than his last spot on the last PGR or whatever. Either way, that's your 50 through 31. We don't have any of top 30 yet, but apparently we're gonna get that tomorrow. All right, at number 30 for North America, we've got MVD. Yeah, I think that has MVD as the highest ranked snake right now. You've got Ned, Sephiroth, sick. You've got Ling. I think he's the second highest solo Peach. He and I had a pretty spicy set at Smash Factor. I don't know why I had a brain fart and I couldn't remember the tournament's name for a second, but yeah, he and I had a pretty good set there. You've got Shattuck. This one is kind of spicy, not gonna lie. The Texan kid, the Corrin Prodigy. 27, that's kind of cool. You've Gact, who I think is the highest ranked Ness. Yeah, he's definitely the highest. It's kind of funny that we had some Japanese players and some other international players attend enough of our events to where they could be ranked in North America, despite, you know, obviously not living in North America. Japan's pretty far away. You've got Base Mage at 25, that's pretty sick. Vest Jigglypuff. You've got Goblin at 24. I think he's the second highest ranked Royal? Yeah. You've got Jackal at 23. I believe he's the best solo wolf. Oh wait, he's the second. He's like around the same level as Ouch, I think. I think he and Ouch are like a similar level, but they haven't really attended any of the same stuff, so it's kind of hard to directly compare them. You've got Cosmos at 22, which Cosmos is kind of an odd one, where sometimes he has performances where he looks like he's top 10 or even like top 5 in the world, but then sometimes he has performances that are, well, quite a bit worse than what you'd expect from 22. So when you balance it out, he ends up around here, which makes sense, but it's still, it's kind of hard to rank him for that reason. I guess you just balance it out and hope for the best. We can only imagine what a world would be like when he's consistent, because that's kind of scary to think about. But I guess until then, this seems fine. You're shocked that Cosmos is this high? I don't know, dude. He has some pretty wild results. Like, what was that one tournament he won? I think it was one of the VG Bootcamp events. Or a glitch? I think he won a pound or a glitch. And then he also got second at Smash World Tour. Glitch? Okay, it was a glitch. Because it was before the PGR. Oh, so Cosmos is another player who got robbed by the fact that this PGR season is not the normal 6 months. Relatable. Then you've got Louis Money at 20. Or 21. I think he's the second best Palu at this point, but it's really close between him and Chag. After that, you've got Ouch at top 20, which, considering Ouch has not gone to that much, that's kind of spicy. Then you've got Yanni at 19. I think he might be the highest. Because I know Akala plays other characters, but I'm not sure he's technically solo Steve. Doesn't he have like a Kazuya and a Luigi too or something like that? I'm pretty sure Akala's in top 10, Christian Cream. Look, Didi attended one tournament. One that affected rankings, and he's on here. So if Didi can attend one event and get ranked that highly, then Akala can going to one tournament. You know? At least that's the way I look at it. But yeah, Didi at 18 is spicy. Like, it's a little higher than I expected since he only entered one event. But the event he entered, Momocon, he did incredible at. So proud of Didi. And I know people like to meme on Steve players or whatever, but let's not forget that Didi had really strong results and would easily be one of Georgia's best players without Steve. Easily. And then he got Steve. And it's gross. Kid's really talented. Has a bright future. Anyway, next up we have Mars. Mr. Content Creator himself. At 17. Not a terrible position. I know that in his mind he's probably wants a lot more, and I don't blame him. Once you have a taste of being higher up, it's hard to be happy with something less than that. After that, you've got Chag. Yeah, he's definitely the highest ranked Palu. Good for him. Chag is such a good player. Did you guys hear? Chag is starting his own clothing line. That's actually kind of baller, not gonna lie. After that, and starting off top 15, we have the proprietor of the Myron Zone. You know, Myron's a great guy. He's sick. He's easily my favorite Olimar to watch. It's not even close. I feel like people don't give him enough credit for a lot of the cool stuff he does just because he plays Olimar. But he makes that character about as cool as he can be. Which, it's still Olimar, but it's about as saucy as Olimar gets, so credit where credit's due. After that, you've got Siskui at 14, Spain's #1 ranked player, and the best Samus player in the world. This is a little higher than I expected, but at the same time, Siski's been improving so much. Like, his results are so strong, and they're only getting better for the most part. He also has become really good friends with MKLeo recently, and they're practicing a lot. And you know what tends to happen with people who practice with MKLeo a lot? They get good. Real good. So, having the best player in the world as one of your practice partners will, you know, you do a lot. After that, you've got Mutace, the best Peach in the world, at 13. That's a pretty high spot. But Mutace is an incredible player, so he deserves it. If any of you have ever played Mutace before, oh my god, hitting this guy is annoying. It feels almost like fighting a fly. The way he's like, and just constantly like zooming in and out of your range in like the most annoying ways. Dude, it's so hard to get neutral wins on. His neutral is crazy. After that, you've got Sonics, another person who is extremely hard to hit in neutral, but for different reasons. His evasiveness is also really good, but he does it with fast, rather than like. Whereas Mutace, a lot of his evasiveness is just like his positioning being really off-putting and hard to keep track of. Sonic just runs away, and as he should. He's the fastest character in the game. What are you gonna do about it? But I think one of the main things that makes Sonic really impressive as a player is that his aggression is extremely good, but he's very specific about it. For the most part, what he does is, I think Sonic's better than any other player exemplifies what it looks like when you play defense that isn't traditionally just exclusively avoiding interaction, but finding ways to use low commitment options to figure out what your opponent's going to do. And then once you're confident you know how you're going to behave in a situation, he goes balls to the wall in punishing said thing. And then the moment he no longer has a read, he goes back to that defense. I think Sonic's, maybe more than anyone else in the world, has a very clearly defined switch that he flips when he plays, where he goes, okay, time to play defense and gather information. And then he hits the switch and goes, okay, I have said information, it's time to go in. And then the moment he runs out, he has the discipline to just go back to plan A. It's one of the reasons why his results have just absolutely skyrocketed recently. I feel like people don't give him enough credit because they just hate Sonic, and I mean, Sonic's lame, so that's fine. But he definitely deserves all the credit he gets, and probably more. Also, Sonic arguably loses no matchups. So you kind of needed someone to come along that was good enough to really push the character, and I feel like Sonic's is that guy. After that, we've got Ken, who, seeing him with the Sonic icon almost feels weird, because nowadays I see him use Sephiroth more. Sonic's folds against top players? Are you watching tournaments? Did you watch CEO? Where he 3-0'd like 5 top 10 players in a row? Ken at this point is basically a Sonic and Sephiroth co-main. So I guess at this point, let's figure out what top 10 is. So top 10 in no particular order is like MKLeo, Spargo, Gluttony Light, Tweak, Meister, Zomba, Cola, Dabuzz. Wait, how many is that? Proto, Akala, Riddles, T? Or did T not go to enough events? I don't know. Akala and T didn't qualify? Okay, good to know. So if that's the case, then... Wait, what was DD's second event then? The only thing I can think of that DD went to, outside of like random ass locals, was MomoCon. 2 or 3 regionals? Huh? Oh, Keep It Real Collegiate? Oh! That's why he's in there. Okay, never mind. Yeah, Akala's not going to be in top 10 then. Okay, it all makes sense. I totally forgot he went to that. Either way, top 10 for both Europe and North America is coming out tomorrow, guys, so...
Several days later.
This is the final top 10 for this PGR season. Keep in mind that, you know, it's a little different than it might be otherwise, since we had kind of a short PGR season because of, you know, COVID-related reasons. It'd be that way. Either way, starting off with number 10, we have Meister, who's, you know, about as consistent as it gets when it comes to Game & Watch. In fact, I think it's by a pretty vast margin. Who even is the second best Game & Watch? I don't know, it's kind of rare for one player to carry a character so thoroughly, but that just makes Meister all the more impressive when you think about it. After that, you've got Zomba, the highest ranked Rob main, which I'm not sure if that would be the case if Zachary was active during this season. But then again, Zachary is not North American, so he wouldn't be on the NA PGR unless he went to a ton of NA events, which he didn't even when he was active. So either way, Zomba is a player who's kind of risen really fast. He was someone that was good before the quarantine era, but he's definitely grown really fast since then. It's kind of a common trend with a lot of the younger players. A lot of the younger players, they have better resources to learn than arguably any generation ever has before them, with guides and everything else being more prevalent. This is true in Melee too, where it's easier to get good faster than it ever has been before because of how good resources are. So if you're willing to apply yourself and you put in the work, you can grow pretty fast. It also helps that Rob's a pretty good character, to say the least. After that, you've got the Georgia star himself, Cola, finally getting himself a top 10 spot. Feels a little overdue, like this should have happened, you know, a while ago, but this is what happens when we only just now have a new PGR for the first time since, what, 2019 or something? Either way, best Roy in the world. It almost feels more fitting to have him listed as Cloud at this point because he's using Cloud in a lot more relevant matchups nowadays. He is trying to transition to being more of a Cloud main, actually. It's something he and I have talked about, but as a whole, he's still definitely the best Roy, and he still uses Roy when he wants to. But I think he's gotten to a point where he feels Cloud is better suiting what he wants to do, so is what it is. After that, you've got DeBuzz, the best Rosalina in the world, and yet another example of someone really, really hard carrying a character. He's the only one doing just about anything. Like, I think there are like a few roses that will like get out of pools at a major in loser side, and that's kind of it. It's really impressive to see how far he's carrying the character, and there's a lot of new tech that's been found with Rosa recently too, like a lot of the lunar landing and wave dash shenanigans that has made the character a lot scarier. She's gone from a point of being a decent character to probably a pretty good one. I don't know, it's still kind of hard to say. It's just a matter of seeing how far a lot of this character's corner pressure and set play is going to get, because it seems like they could potentially get a lot better. It's hard to say. After that, you've got Riddles, another person who's made another example of a young player who's made a massive jump. He's been putting in a ton of work, and he didn't quite get the results he wanted to up until a handful of months ago. But you know what was going on in this handful of months? This PGR season. Perfect timing, huh? Either way, Riddles at number 6 is a pretty massive jump for him. Happy for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he climbs further either. We'll just have to wait and see what happens from the co-maining Terry Kazuya player. Arguably the best with both. Well, definitely Terry, but Kazuya, there's a bit of contention with T, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ferps enters that picture as well. Ferps is obviously really good, but he just needs to go to more. He's only been to one thing outside of Brazil. After that, you've got Tweak, a perennial top 5er. Not a surprise here. What is a bit of a surprise is that he has been playing, or I think he's trying to pick up Aegis. I feel like at some point or another this man has played like almost every good character in the game seriously, but he kind of makes them all work. It's very impressive. The only other person I can think of who kind of does this is MKLeo, where he's also been successful with a really large variety of characters. Oh, Zachary too, actually. You never really know what to expect from him for too long because he's probably gonna have a new character at some point. And they're all crazy, so you just have to respect all of them. Good luck counterpicking this guy. It's pretty difficult. After that, you've got the number 1 ranked North American player, or American player specifically, like, you know, United States of America. On the North America top 10, the highest ranked American player is 4. Really shows how strong a lot of these other countries have gone recently, huh? I think there was a case for making Light at 3, but I'm pretty sure Gluto's head-to-head record, combined with arguably slightly higher peaks, put him above. Either way, it's only like a 2.5 month period, so we'll see what happens in this upcoming one. Light's obviously the best Fox in the world by an absolute mile. Yet another example of characters being carried. There's 2 more of those on this list as well we haven't talked about. But as a whole, Light's insane. He's ridiculously fast. And I think one of the things that makes Fox so good that he's the only one that's really fully exploiting is the consistency of this character's kill confirms. The sheer degree or the sheer consistency with which Light will get someone to like 100% and then they get hit by one of a gazillion different kill confirms into up smash is stupid. Fox might not really be able to cheese you and like get early kills, but you also don't survive past 100 so often because of the sheer safety and variety of ways in which he can combo into up smash, and with which Light mixes them up pretty perfectly as well. It's kind of unholy, honestly, how consistently he gets kills at that percent. Seriously, just watch his sets and just specifically look out for when someone hits about 100 and then just watch them explode. It's actually insane. After that, you've got Gluto. #1 in Europe, #1 in France, and also #3 in North America since he went to enough events to qualify. Gluto is the best warrior in the world by pretty large margin. Carries the character pretty hard. Pretty insane player. One of the main things that I think really sticks out to me about him is that I think he's the trickiest player in the world. Trying to get a good handle on how he's going to move and weave around you gives me more trouble than anyone else I've ever played when it comes to how he moves and just trying to grasp it. The way he moves is just so thoroughly unpredictable at almost all times that trying to get like good reads on his movement is extremely difficult. Couple that with his insane punish game, his waft confirms, and how well he adapts in long sets, and it's no surprise that he's as high as he is. After that, you've got the Mexican prodigy Spargo as the best cloud main in the world. He's someone who was starting to really build a name for himself during the quarantine era, but let's remember that he was pgr before that too. I think he was like in the 40s or something, but he made a pretty massive leap in knowledge and skill specifically during the quarantine era because of how much he was grinding Wi-Fi, studying, and just doing everything he could to prepare for the moment he could finally be unleashed at IRL events again. And the moment he could, putting in work. Honestly, he was like maybe 1 or 2 sets away from being able to potentially take that #1 title. His results were stupid. Nothing but respect for the kid. He's got a really bright future, and he got picked up by FaZe. Then you've got, at #1, big surprise here, MKLeo. He's just the best player, and continues to be. And I kind of expect him to stay there. We'll see what happens, since I know Spargo's specifically gunning for a spot, and I know Light, and well, I'm sure everyone in top 10 is gunning for a spot, but you know what I mean. Those are the people that are probably the closest right now. The main thing that makes Leo so difficult is obviously he's just the epitome of balance as a player. He's extremely well versed in dealing with every kind of play style. I don't think he really has a notable weakness. The way I would just describe him is just balance as a player. He can beat you with just relying on spacing, or he can not. He has some of the best offense, but he doesn't need it. Has some of the best defense, but doesn't necessarily need it. He doesn't really rely on anything in particular. He's just able to switch gears however he pleases and make it work. Couple that with how well he adapts in long sets, and the fact that he plays enough characters to where he basically never ever gets counterpicked, but regularly counterpicks you. And as if trying to beat him just on a regular level wasn't enough, you're almost constantly fighting him at a counterpick disadvantage on top of that. And it's no wonder he's been able to maintain his #1 edge so long. Either way, it's been interesting to follow this, and even if it was only a 2.5 month, period for this PGR season, it still is telling of a lot of trends, and it's interesting to think about. Hope you thought this discussion of the PGR Top 50 was interesting, and you all have a good one. And if you enjoyed this, consider dropping a sub. Helps the channel a lot. Have a good one, alright?